Welcome to the Brainstorm, Daly Black's podcast here at the Path to Indemnity Conference in Galveston. I'm Alex Hefner, sitting down with
Joseph Kreiner.
Joseph Kreiner. So why don't you tell me a little bit about you, your business, where you're from?
From Maryland,
Okay.
born and raised.
Okay.
Been throughout the United States throughout my life. I'm a public adjuster, also a licensed contractor and builder. I'm also a licensed independent adjuster. So I've been messing with the insurance for quite some time, and all I do now is just fight the insurance company every day.
Nice. Sounds a lot like our job.
Yeah.
I always like starting off with why. So we're at these conferences and it's easy to rub elbows with folks and learn a lot of information. But if you had to define your why you're here, what is the real reason you're here setting up a booth, meeting folks?
Because crooked fraud just pisses me off. And dealing with the insurance company, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Being an independent adjuster behind the scenes, I've had client managers step in, rewrite my estimate, change my GLR, which is a general loss report, and then turn that into the insurance company. So it's not about what I saw on site. It's not about the investigation I did. It's not about what was right for the person's house I was at, what actually is damaged. It was about that client manager for that independent adjusting firm keeping that insurance company happy, so that way they got more claims. So it was all about the dollar, the almighty dollar, as people will say.
Right.
And that pisses me off because I'm quantity over quality. Quality over quantity,
Sure.
all day long.
Sure.
So if I can go out there and I can write 50 claims, you can write 100. That's great.
Right.
Your 100 claims may be phenomenal, but my 50 claims, they're going to be spot on.
Yeah.
I will not miss a beat, will not miss a dollar for the insured ever. And on the independent adjusting side for the insurance company, that's not what it's about. So it's not about taking care of people. It's not about finding coverage like you're taught when you become an adjuster. It's not about how can we find coverage in this policy to take care of the insured. It's about how can we deny this claim. Let's find something to make this not real.
Right.
Then you have managers who have had question me. I'm going to use an example for a leak under a sink.
Sure.
Okay. Pipe broke under a sink. So he gets on the phone with me and tries to, what we call Barney style, wants to break it down for me like I'm an infant.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You do your thing, you talk, and then I'm going to rebuttal.
Sure.
I was like, well, what happens when water leaks? It does what? It goes down. When it goes down, it damages things below. So when it goes down, damages things below, those are the things we write for. So why are we writing for cabinet doors and for countertops? That makes no sense because the pipe broke, so water would go where? Down, right? Do you understand what I'm telling you? This is the speech I got.
Right.
And this is from a $150,000 a year manager who's out there on the front lines teaching adjusters what to do for the insurance company.
That's
right?
ridiculous.
And I said, well, in all fairness, I said,
Yeah.
when a pipe breaks, it actually doesn't break all the way through and it doesn't just trickle out and go down. It actually sprays. Have you ever been involved in a pipe break? He says, no. I said, so how do you know what it does? Because I've been involved and I know what they do because I can repair them. I'm
Right.
actually trained in doing plumbing as well, so I know how to repair the pipe. I also know what the water does. When a pipe breaks, water sprays everywhere. And if you have a cardboard countertop called Formica, what it does is swells up, it separates. So that's why I paid for it. I'm not changing my estimate. If you don't like it, fire me. And that went over like a fart in church. So at the end of the day, it's one of those things they expect you to think that they're the smartest person alive.
Right.
And again, this is kind of where who I am for me is it's all about the fight.
Sure.
I'm all about fighting for what's right.
Right.
And again, that goes back to growing up. I was taught to do what's right, fight for what's right. I joined the Marine Corps, was always fight what's right.
Yes.
And then the Marine Corps, it was like hit it head on, and talk about the path to indemnity. What is the path to indemnity? To me, it's the hardest path possible because in the Marine Corps, you can go left, you can go right, but those are the easiest paths and those are set up for traps. And that's what most contractors do, most public adjusters I've met do for the most part. They take that easy path to close the claim and make money.
Right.
And me, I like to hit that wall head on because I'm going to break through it and I'm going to win for that insured.
I love it.
So to define who I am,
Yeah.
long story short, is I'm a fighter. And I'm never. That's why Simplified Public Adjusters is always in the fight.
Right.
Because we're just never, ever going to
Take the path of most resistance to make the most change, sounth like.
Absolutely.
100%. So, you pretty much answered my second question, but I want to dig a little deeper into that. You taking the hard path, the path that ends up having the best conclusions, is there any example of something that you've dealt with where a policyholder has just been, taken advantage of by an insurance company? What's one of those most egregious examples of something that a policyholder has encountered from the carrier that you've seen that's just not right at all? Anything stick out from you in your experience?
I'm going to go with the Legion that we're working on right now, actually.
Okay.
Because that's kind of the most I have a million stories.
Sure.
I can tell you all day long.
Yeah.
But so this one in particular, I was not the public adjuster on the claim.
Okay.
However, I was there on site for the inspection. I actually gave you two of them.
Okay.
I was on site for the inspection. And the insurance company, we walked through the damages. We got on every roof, all the other structures. We're up there talking about the damages. Full agreement. You got wind damage on this roof. You have flying debris, large limbs hitting the roof, cracked plywood. So now we're going to be replacing decking on the roof. Number one, because you have to, because it's code. Number two, it's a part of the proper roof system, so you got to put it back to what it was prior to the loss.
Sure.
Full agreement, full everything. The entry points, the storm created openings, 100% in agreement. This was an IA working for Worley or Alacrity now, the change in hands after fraud.
Right.
You know, who knew? But you can look it up. It's true.
Sure.
Actually, the owners of Worley ended up embezzling a bunch of money from claims, and the guy Worley, that's why they changed the name and got rid of a partner. So it's a fraudulent company who writes fraudulent claims went down for fraud. Who knew? Right?
Yeah, right.
But nonetheless, so we came to agreement. So we got the scope back. The scope was for $35,000 for something that took almost $400,000 to fix on this property. Now this is for veterans. This is for a bunch of old folks who fought for our country, who just want to drink beer, throw darts, play cards, and talk shit about when they were American badasses.
Right, right.
That's what it's all about. That's what the Legion is. So now you've hit home with me because I'm a veteran. So now you're trying to screw over veterans, number one.
Yep.
Number two, somebody's lying.
Somebody's
somewhere,
lying right.
along the way.
Right.
And being that I know who the adjuster is, I know it ain't him. I know we agreed because I know the system, I know the process, because I took the time to go behind the scenes to learn what goes on. So I already knew what took place. So Nationwide got this claim, and they ran with this claim, and the adjuster feels that it's been an accurate scope of work written. This is me as the public adjuster now talking to the desk adjuster for Nationwide.
Okay.
He goes, well, I feel that our scope is very accurate. I feel like we put together an accurate scope. I said, well, I feel like you've never seen the property. You've never been there, and you've never touched anything on the property.
That's
have
exactly
you?
right.
Is that accurate? He goes, yeah, I've never been there, but I feel so. How do you feel about something that you've never been a part of? I said, because we had a full agreed upon scope with the adjuster. He goes, well, you know, that's something that you wouldn't be privy to. I said, actually, I was there. I was there, and it's documented in our business records what your adjuster said, and we came to agreed upon scope of work, and we sent you our scope of work, but you feel that it's not necessary because the policy doesn't cover that? Is that your opinion or a fact? Because I read the policy. I know what the policy covers, pre-existing conditions. And he said, talks about code coverage. I was like, it's funny you talk about code coverage because code coverage is an additional coverage. That's additional insurance. Have we exhausted coverage A to the max potential of the policy? No. So there's still money left for coverage A, right? So why are we talking about additional coverage? We shouldn't even be talking about that. It's a mute point, right?
Right.
But not to him because he doesn't know the policy. He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand that coverage A is coverage A.
Yeah.
Once we exhaust that, then we go, we're out of money here. Do we have any other coverages we can tap into? Which is where the additional co-coverage comes into. But again, that's lack of education on the insurance company's behalf. So I told them all these things and let them know all these things, and they don't like it. Once I hire a third-party contractor to come out and write an estimate. I said, well, that's your prerogative. You feel like you did. It doesn't extend your timeline. It doesn't give you more time for the claim. It simply is just another delay tactic by yourself. So if you want to do that, have them contact me. We'll meet on site. So this third party contacts the insured, allegedly, a quote unquote, little air quotes there for you. And the insured told him that the damage to the interior was for improper repairs prior to. So the insurance company sent a letter to the insured and told him that he needs to file a separate claim for mold. But there's no mold coverage in the policy. So why would you guide them to file something when there's no coverage when you read the policy? And clearly you read it because we already talked about it. So now you are misrepresenting the policy and you're misguiding the insured so you can deny a claim to save the insurance company some money. Fuck you.
Right.
Not on my watch. It's not happening. Because you have a $35,000 estimate you're refusing to pay more money to the American Legion, to the people who fought for this country.
Right.
When it's warranted for them and the damages are there with storm created openings, which is clearly a covered peril in the policy, and they have water damage, which is covered peril, and mold is consequential because that damage came because you delayed this.
That's exactly right. That's
and
what I was going to touch on. Right.
How long before that, after that adjuster came out, did they have a check? I'll tell you, 8 weeks. Now, is that okay? Because in my book, that's not okay.
Right.
And not to mention, they can't make any money or hold their events. So now you have business interruptions coming into play.
Right.
So what we're going to do, we're going to package up. We're just going to sue you. So I took my $368,000 estimate and we packaged it up and we sent it to the attorney. They signed with the attorney. Now they're coming for him. And we'll get what's right. So stuff like that pisses me off.
Yeah, 100%. What's your experience like? So, not experience. What do you think the benefit is of having a law firm or an attorney in your back pocket that not only can get the job done, but someone that you can trust? Talk to me about like that team building from a PA's perspective and how they can work with an attorney and how that really, really makes the claim a much easier process for everybody involved, except for the carrier.
It's like a relay race.
Okay.
You know, when you're running that race, you have to know when you pass that baton off, it's going to be a smooth transition, and you trust that they're going to run just as fast as you did with the same care. So when you're meeting an attorney, it's almost like interviewing a girlfriend. I mean, think about it. I mean, well, what are we going to do? What movie do you want to watch?
Right.
What do you want for dinner? You know, what games do you want to go play? Where do you want to go on vacation at? Like, you got to be on the same page, or else it's just not going to fucking work.
Right.
It's not. So I look at it in the same way as that. When you sit down with an attorney, where's their heart at? Where's their care? Because if you don't have the drive and the passion for the insured, you're not on my team.
Is it necessary for a public adjuster to have a relationship with an attorney, in your opinion?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Because there's only so far you can take it. And I'm going to go back to before we had attorneys in Maryland, before I was able to develop a partnership to bring attorneys to Maryland. I'm going to use the State Farm claim where I told you all about where the tree fell in the house.
Yeah.
And it drug out. It's still drug out. Still, both claims still aren't paid to this date. And it's coming up on 4.5 year mark. But yet they're still paying money towards the claim, a little bit here, a little bit there, because they know they're jacked up and they're trying to cover their tracks. And excuse me. But that claim right there, if I would have had the tools in Maryland, in our state, the proper attorney who understands insurance, who knows how to fight, who I had that relationship with, we could have taken those 4 years and compiled it down to 90 days.
Right. Now, in my experience, this brings me to my last question. If you're not involved in the industry, there's a lot of minutiae and little details that are extremely complicated and hard to understand. So whether you're giving advice to another PA or a CEO of a roofing company or just a policyholder or anybody involved in this industry, what would be a piece of advice that you have for someone? Golden nugget that you've learned over the years that could help someone in this industry cater to whoever you want to talk to?
It's process.
It's a process.
It's process. If you have a proper process and proper planning, you're set up for success.
Got it.
If not, it's just 100% piss poor planning and you didn't do your job right.
That or you're a lucky bastard.
or you're a lucky bastard. So as I like to teach people is the process is, again, so if I touch this claim over here, I touch this claim over here, and then I compare them side by side, is it 100% the same across the board? Because if it's not, you're doing something wrong. Because if you are going to take it to an attorney or you're going to take that fight to some of the biggest dogs in the cage, it has to be correct. It has to be right. I can't have a difference on this scope that I do this scope. My line items can't be in a different order. I can't write this one from the floor up and write this one from the ceiling down, because it shows inconsistency, shows weakness. And the insurance companies will prey on that. Then they know that they can mess with you. They can get you to change because you change across the board. With us, we don't change. This is what it is. This is our process. Our process is this. Our estimates are written this way. We actually don't call them estimates. We call them proper scopes of work. So we don't use the word estimate. We correct the insurance company when they use the word estimate. Oh, we don't do estimates. We do proper scopes. That's what we tell them, and then we submit them to them in that manner. But again, if you take any scope that's been written by my company and by my staff, it's 100% the same. I don't care who wrote it. I don't care who touched it. Every note in our Xactimate, every line item is in the same order, 100%. It doesn't change. So if you have that process and you have that strong front, you can just keep driving forward. All they can do is try to break you.
That's what it's about, man. That's a lot of value, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of expertise, man. I appreciate you sitting down with us, dude.
Not a problem at all. My pleasure.
Thank you so much, man.
Absolutely.